Hello, baby boomers. I suppose you are because this subject of how to avoid looking old in your resume is probably for those over 50, over 60, maybe even over 70, I don't know. But I got 8 tips for you that will help you to, let's say, not shoot yourself in the foot when you are introducing yourself with your resume. Now, I am a baby boomer myself, my goodness, so I know that age discrimination is out there. And you probably saw in the blog that made you click this PowerPoint presentation that there are rules both in the US and in Europe about age discrimination. But nevertheless, let's get started. Point number one is about the font. Times New Roman, I'm sure you will remember this was a part of Microsoft when they uh, when you bought a Microsoft product. But back in 2007, what would that be? 14 years. They changed, retired Times New Roman actually, and then they changed to Calibri. So that is today the default font when you buy a Microsoft product. In fact, I just saw recently that Microsoft is now considering retiring Calibri, and then we're going to see what comes up. So really the message is here, if you are using Times New Roman, this is the time to change to Calibri for sure. Point number two, the photograph. The photograph, uh, obviously, if you are sort of in your say second half of your career, you can see experience, right? And even photograph is not a good idea to include in any resume, no matter the age, and no matter whether you are beautiful or handsome, it doesn't matter. There is no doubt that uh, if you don't have the right skills, whatever photograph you have will not get you the job, right? However, you may have the right skills, but if the photograph, for some reason, in the eyes of the beholder, the person looking at your resume, um, does not find it attractive, then you may actually lose it. So it's a kind of a risk. So the idea is, or the suggestion is, just don't put a photograph on your resume. Telephone, yeah, believe it or not, I still see not many, but some candidates only include a landline telephone number. In Thailand, that would be 02, or if you're up country, another 3-digit number. So get rid of that and get yourself a mobile if you don't have one. If you have one, that's the number to put on your resume. Email, emails. I still remember I used the one you see on the screen, the loxinfo .coth, but probably more than 20 years, 25 years ago, I think. So if you have an email that very few know, unless you are over 50, um, I remember, what's another one? AOL.com, right? There's another one. Now, Gmail is the way to go, or Hotmail, Outlook.com. So try and use that instead. In your career summary, that's the part that comes as the first, right below your name and contact details. I see very often candidates start with this line that you see there: more than 30 years experience and seasoned executive, right? Seasoned, by the way, is something you put on food. Actually, more than 30 years. Clearly, if you were, let's say, if you left university early 20s, right? Then we can just add up and then we will know, oh, okay, here we have somebody who's been around the block a few times. So try and uh, describe what you think 30 years of experience have given you that somebody with 5 years of experience cannot. For example, you see there at the bottom there, numbers driven, entrepreneurial and change oriented leader, and blah blah blah. That's the way to do it. Under work experience, I see many write detailed list of all the companies they have worked for, even that might be 30 or 40 or 50 years ago. And it looks something like that, the name of the company, what was your position, and then 1981, which would be something like 40 years ago. So do not do that. It is important to focus on the last 10, maximum 15 years. And that's what you detail in your resume. And then somewhere close to the bottom of page 2, you can have the headline just below the last work experience that you have detailed. You can say something like summary of earlier employments, and then you just put in the company name and the position. But notice that no work period. That's the whole idea. Education, if you have an education that is more than 15 years ago, do not put, well, the period you studied or even the year of graduation. That again will give you away. So if you have an MBA, just write that. Do not include the years that you studied. And finally, the last one, under personal, which would be at the very, very bottom of page 2, there's no need to say that you were born, whatever you were born, right? Like in this case, 1954, which would be what, 60, whatever, 7, 8 years or something like that. So instead, that's the blank box that you see there, you leave it out. So these are the 8 tips that would help baby boomers. Anyone that feels discriminated or they fear they will be discriminated against because you have been around for a while. So good luck. See you next time.